back to Chow Time Pod. It's your host, Red. I got a video today from Shoe on Head. She's a conservative young woman that makes content. She's pretty huge, like 1.7 million subscribers. And she did one on male loneliness epidemic. And just how male are just pawns. We're just pawns in the political game of left versus right. And how the left thinks that we just need to pull us their way, and the right needs to pull us their way, but no one's really helping out men overall, other than maybe the right side. So please subscribe down below. I really appreciate that, and let's get to that chow. It's chow time.
I regret to inform you, the men are not okay. That's right, folks. The men are not okay. The men have no friends, no girlfriend, no college education, no money, are breaking their legs and inserting metal rods into their bones to be
Man, it's so painful.
few inches taller, and listening to AI Batman help them overcome their pornography addictions.
You deserve real love.
Turns out the society that was built by and allegedly for men has indeed let them down. Now you
That is crazy that a lot of us are listening to AI motivational speeches from certain characters and certain things, and I don't hate on it, to tell you the truth. I think it's very insightful to see how certain characters that we idolize, like Batman, certain, characters that we've grown up with, and then hearing their voices tell us certain things of affirmation. Words of affirmation is so huge, especially for us men. Like, if I haven't told it, I am proud of you guys. Every single one of my subs, every single person that watches this content and is working on themselves and is working on their growth, working on their money, working on their health, working on their body, I am proud of you guys. Like, I know as men, we hardly ever hear these words from anybody else, especially other men. I care. And when I see, like, especially like the El Paso boys and just other people all around the world, comment for me and tell me how much they've grown, things that they're going over or going through. It makes me so proud of them to one, share these things, and two, to work on these things and understand why they're lacking.
You might be thinking, oh look, another boo-hoo poor men video by Shoe on Head. Yes. And if you have a problem with that, tune into literally anything else.
Yeah.
Men are in a crisis, and it seems nobody really cares. And the people who do care just seem like the people who want to sell them shit. Not me. I'm different. So before we get into this, let's quickly get into today's sponsor. Today's sponsor is Holtzgern. And thank you, the viewer, as always, for not skipping the ad.
Why are men and boys struggling? And what should we do about it?
A few new studies have come out that have shown that young men are more lonely and single than ever before. But it's not just men. The women and children, too. It's predicted 45% of women will be single and childless by 2030. But according to the media, this is a good thing.
Yeah, it's empowering that women get to be single now. But when men are single, we're just lonely losers.
Economy is booming, as they say. And meanwhile, men being single is treated like this.
New study explains why some single men are having a hard time finding a new partner.
Some of the music that they listen to speaks very derogatory.
Right.
Yeah, man, stop listening.
It's the music that we listen to. It's so derogatory. That's why we're shitty with women, and we can't get women. Yeah, okay.
To that derogatory music, then maybe you won't be single. I don't know, I think men and women being single and lonely kind of shows there might be something wrong with society. Perhaps we should address this, not just wave it off as empowering or pathetic. According to several different articles, I love how that's my source, I read about it on the internet, research shows that people from individualist countries show a greater sense of loneliness. This is linked to socioeconomic development, increased education, a shift towards white-collar jobs, and urbanization. Japan also has an issue with loneliness. In fact, they have a whole movement of people they call the hikikomori. Did I say that right?
Hikikomori.
I I don't care. Basically, postmodern hermits. Mostly young men who completely withdraw from society, secluding themselves in their rooms for months and years at a time. In
They're just MGTOW guys.
2010, there was an estimated 700,000 hikikomori in Japan. And today, it's estimated to be about 1.55 million. And because of things like this, people aren't having babies, so Japan's population has been in a sharp decline since 2011. It's gotten so bad that Japan even produces videos of live-action women staring into the camera to help the hikikomori learn to cope with eye contact and reintegrate them back into society. So basically,
That's how bad it is for men. That they've been out of society so badly that they need videos of girls just looking at them to reacclimate them to society. Damn.
if you want to know America's future, look no further than Japan. A lot of people, including myself, blame this partially on the rise of social media and technology. RIP to the king. Although technology makes things easier, it can also make us more atomized. Why go to the mall when I can just tap, buy a new microphone, and have it shipped to me in a day? Why hang out with friends when I can get all my social interaction I need from Twitter and streamers? Why go on dates and bother meeting women when I can just tap, Google big boob and get 2 million results? Or see my high school crush's holes on OnlyFans for only $5.
Damn. High school crushes, holes in OnlyFans is... Yeah, there's so much ways to sedate men nowadays. It's crazy. And not that men are falling for it. Men are turning to them. Why? Because women are also so ruthless nowadays that men have no drive to even want to talk to women or want to be with women nowadays. And it's sad. This is why society, like Western society, like modern society, is really going downhill, because men don't want to reproduce. Women don't want to reproduce. Mostly women don't want to reproduce. And because now women make good money, they want men to make more money than them. And that makes it so like at least half of the men in the world don't make more money than them. It's just how it is.
Instant dopamine, instant satisfaction, and hey, who even needs a real woman when you could just have an AI girlfriend? We're f***ed. We're so f***ed. Dating apps really are the great Satan, and I'm convinced they've completely broken men's brains. Women on dating apps are picky. Women in general are picky, and I mean, naturally we are pickier. We're the ones who carry the babies. At least for now. But on dating apps, you have to admit, it's a little insane. It's safe to say that the commodification of love and the window shopping of dating apps probably has to do a lot with the rise of lonely single men. Men are not just lonely when it comes to dating,
It's just made it so much easier for women to pick through looks. Sift through just certain aspects that they're looking for. People are hyper focusing on certain things nowadays. And before, as long as you were a good person, you have a good chance of getting married and having a family. Now, that's not what people hyper fixate on, especially women. Women hyper fixate on looks, hyper fixate on height, hyper fixate on lifestyle and money.
They're lonely when it comes to friendship, too. According to Vox, Americans are currently in a friendship recession, and men are being hit the hardest. The percentage of men who reported having at least 6 close friendships fell in half since the 90s. 1 in 5 men say they have no close friendships. Looking at all these statistics, the explosion of figures like Andrew Tate is not surprising at all.
I believe being a man is a blessing because it starts so difficult. I believe that every man is born without any value at all. I think that the world's never going to think you're important unless you make yourself important.
And recently, a new study came out about how young men are moving towards the right. And every other month, we, the liberal, sockdem, leftists, whatever you want to call the space online, performs the same song and dance. What's wrong with men? Why is this happening? Why don't we have a leftist Andrew Tate? We need to push men to the left. Andrew Tate rarely, if ever, talks about politics.
Right.
Andrew Tate talks about men, and the left only talks about men when they talk about Andrew Tate. A few months ago, during one of the monthly song and dances, some progressive people I follow made the mistake of addressing men's issues, and the even bigger mistake of pointing their finger at their own spaces for not doing enough to address said men's issues.
Recently, there were some statistics by healthcare company Cigna indicating that men are the loneliest generation. And addressing it doesn't mean that you turn your back on issues pertaining to women, but it does mean that we should be focused on what it is in society that is leading to this epidemic, what the left can do to offer solutions, and how
It really fucking irks me the wrong way every time I hear what the left can do, what the right can do. Can we just fix the issue instead of labeling who's fixing what and why we're fixing whatever? Like, who gives a fuck if it's the left that's doing it or the right that's doing it? Who gives a fuck who has the credit for it? Fix the goddamn issue, people.
we can basically fight back against the more nefarious figures who have filled the void that men are struggling with, people like Jordan Peterson and what have you. Now, recently,
man, they really hate JP, man. Like, the left really, really hates JP, and I don't fully understand it. JP doesn't even talk politics. He mostly talks about men's issues, women's issues. Like, oh my God.
Vosh, who's a popular streamer, had tweeted this thread that I think is really, really important to address. He writes, "I cannot stress enough how important it is to understand that 12-year-old white boys on Twitch are not being pulled into fascism because of some Machiavellian desire to preserve and expand their privileges. It's because the right talks to them and the left doesn't."
The responses to these tweets and this content were very normal, level-headed, and respectful. Me when I lie. LMAO, cry about it. Boo f***ing who? Oh no, poor widow men having—
This is exactly what we expect women to, reply. Women really hate men, especially nowadays in society. Whenever women's issues come up, oh, it's poor women. But when we bring up men's issues, it's like, oh, suck it up.
having problems. Boo f***ing who? Grow the f*** up then. Have men considered being smarter? I'm enjoying all these sad little moids.
Oh, so when women were having issues that, like, they just had to become smarter? Is that what the problem was?
And their sad little tweets about their sad, pathetic lives. Sounds like a personal problem. Is the lack of compassion for men in the room with us right now? Maybe men are just not good people then. I'm
Wow.
so fucking tired of people trying to make male loneliness a huge societal problem. Yeah, no, they're fifi.
Yeah, women are idiots. It's a huge societal problem when women have no protection. When men, all these men, these lonely men, stop putting their, I guess, good foot forward in protecting people and protecting women, then you're going to have a big problem.
These are not my responsibility, and I shouldn't have to be punished because they can't get their shit together as human beings.
How are you being punished? Who's being punished? Nobody's punishing anybody for our loneliness. Like, what the fuck is, like, why is our loneliness a net negative to women all of a sudden? And, like, nobody's, like, putting this, like, that's fucking
Grow
stupid.
the f up. Why are we trying to win these entitled little predators over? The left isn't for them. That's why they go right in the first place.
That's exactly what they all think. Like, we're just rapists. All we do is just dick down women left and right and give no fucks about it. That's all us men, right? We just dick down everyone. That's all men do, what we'll ever do, and we'll always will do because we're fucking predators. It's just so stupid. Like, the left is so triggered against men themselves. It's crazy. And now a lot of red pillars, a lot of men are becoming very similar, also hating on women, which is a win for the upper top echelon of people, because now we're just fighting amongst ourselves.
Place. We're all lonely and alienated. It's young men going to the alt-right in droves. The problem isn't our messaging, it's them. It's literally not our problem. Men flock to Andrew Tate not because they're lonely, but because they're bigots. Hope this helps. Nah, it's just misogynists being louder than before and not getting laid. LOL. Cry harder, losers. 90% of all homicides recorded worldwide were committed by male perpetrators. We should just get rid of all males, to be honest. This includes trans women, as they still retain male violence. By the way, you know the Tumblr feminists who were like, all men are sexist and rapists, male tears, penises are evil, blah 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 back in the day? Well, this is them now. Should've just let me cook back then. Listen up, chuckle. I'm white, socially awkward, autistic, in my 40s, ugly, overweight, crippled, got a weird balding pattern, and have bad skin. You know what I didn't do? Choose to become a fascist, because I recognize most of the sort that look like me are the problem.
Wow.
I may be hideously
Like men jumping onto this and dogging on other men. It's just fucking, oh my god.
ugly and pathetic, but at least I'm not a fascist. Thank you for your input, buddy. You're, really helping the situation. The reason young men flock to alt-right MRA movements is because the left gives brain-dead advice to young men. We need to be more compassionate to them, for our own sake. I'm sorry, but how is respect women brain-dead advice? What advice? Don't rape? Don't be a rapist is bad advice? Hell,
Oh yes, because men didn't know this before there was a left and a right and before feminism. We just, again, all this whole time, men from all countries, this whole fucking history of men were just dicking down women left and right. Women were just on the streets, dicked down by men all the goddamn time. What?
help, I have no friends or community, I feel suicidal. Have you considered not raping? Act like a decent fucking human being, it's not hard, is brain dead advice? Brain dead advice like, get consent and don't be a Nazi and women are
Wow.
people. Walking up to men struggling with loneliness and depression like,
Kids, don't be racist.
incredible. Here's my actual advice I would give to my teen boys as a leftist. 1. Always get enthusiastic consent. 2. Save the planet. 3. Don't say that. It's actually kind of racist. Like, what the f is this? How does this address men and their issues? It doesn't. Why does
It
their
really
advice
doesn't.
always seem to be, become a liberal? Hey men, here's how to fix all your problems. Agree with me politically. Men
Correct.
flock to the MRA movement because they're the largest beneficiaries of MRA shit. Imagine saying women flock to women's rights activism because they're the biggest beneficiaries of women's rights. Like, no f***ing shit. Let's be honest. Aside from procreation purposes, men have become obsolete. Most women can find other methods of achieving orgasm without a man there. And speaking as a man, most of us are horrid to be around, and I don't blame any woman for just saying, no thanks.
This bald, dumbass simp just said all this shit just to try to get women on his side. Like, you're fucking failing, dude. Like, come on now.
Oh my god, dude, this is what every Just Pearly Things tweet looks like to me. Just with the genders swapped. This is pathetic. You know what fixes male loneliness? Jerking off. As a man, I'll say this. Sit down, shut up, and beat one out. You'll feel better. I promise. Yeah, guys, just beat one out. Just off. Just watch porn. Batman will be very disappointed in all of you.
Yeah.
It's so funny how men feel entitled to a girlfriend. No, you sexist freak. When one side is like, wanting a girlfriend is sexist entitlement, and the other side is like, here's how to get a girlfriend. I don't know, bro. What happened to males just kicking the bucket? Now they just come on here and try to make their loneliness and misery into some social justice issue.
Men hardly ever come on the internet and complain about these things. We don't make it a social justice issue.
Oh, trust me. Men are still kicking the bucket.
Yeah.
And when they're not giving mind-blowing advice like just to be a liberal, they're outright dismissing men's issues completely. It's not our job to educate them. Since men created the problem, they need to take steps to fix it. We have other things to care about. Men can figure out their own problems that they created.
So all the issues that feminism had, didn't men help fix a lot of those things? Didn't men do a lot of these things? So why are women so upset that they don't expect men to handle everything themselves? Like, you didn't handle everything yourselves when it came to women's issues. Men had to help you. Men had to enforce things for you. But just listening to our problems is like chalk to a chalkboard, like, come on.
Again, it's not women's jobs to change how men are socialized. It's a man issue and y'all need to address that amongst yourselves. Men created their own problems. Men can solve
Half of society is women, right? So how men are societally treated and raised has to do with half women too.
Solve their own problems. The left is busy. Why does the well-being of other people concern me? Leftist, by the way. It's all systemic issues and societal factors and blah 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 until it's a man and then suddenly it's pull yourselves up by your bootstraps.
Pretty
This
much.
problem is just a consequence of the patriarchy. Now take a wild guess about which gender created the patriarchy. Solve your own problems and leave women alone. These people rightly mock the bootstraps rhetoric until the subject is a man and then it's bootstraps all the way down.
I don't think men have said anything about women. Like, we're not dogging on women. The statement was just men are more lonely, and it's a problem. Well, we didn't say men are lonely and women have to give men pussy. No one says shit like that. So where are us bugging women or fucking putting this on women or anything?
They would never talk about any other group this way. It's wild. And it's kind of like both sides are telling men to pull themselves up by their bootstraps, but one is like, I'll show you how, and the other is like, fuck off. And when they're not telling men to straight up fuck off, they're giving the 200 IQ answer that nobody has ever heard before. Just show your emotions, bro. And I'm not dismissing this problem, okay? I've made videos talking about this. Oh, you're crying at your grandfather's funeral? Okay, faggot. And studies have shown that men are scared to be vulnerable, even around the homies. And can you blame them when the media says stupid like this? Fellas, is it woke to open up to your fellow men and discuss history? Men are socialized to believe strength, dominance, and stoicism are behaviors of a real man. Is it any surprise that men are lonely and have less friends nowadays? You have to be vulnerable to make friends. Don't tell me there aren't systemic problems affecting men. Now, while a lot of this may be true, men have been socialized this way for centuries, and this is all relatively a new phenomena. Toxic masculinity has existed forever. If anything, there's less toxic masculinity nowadays. The cultural embrace of like gender nonconformity,
if you want to use the fucking term of toxic masculinity, there's probably so much less of it nowadays than there ever has been in all of history. Because probably in the Genghis Khan days, there was probably plenty of it. You know, people were, yes, right, fucking dicking down women, killing, slaying motherfuckers left and right. Right? But it is not like that now.
M-boys, Harry Styles in a dress, Barbie movie, blah 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 blah. My point is, toxic masculinity did not just appear in the mid-2010s.
Correct.
Social media did, and the internet did, and the rise of dating apps did, and the housing crisis, and living in a country where the wealth inequality is worse than it was during the Gilded Age. That all happened recently.
Yep.
Oh my god, the privileged life these poor little boys must have, that their biggest problem is being lonely, i.e. so insufferable that nobody wants to sleep with them. So much more pressing than the poor distribution of wealth causing people to suffer food and housing insecurity.
Loneliness is so huge. Like, it's sad that women talk shit on men, talk shit on loneliness. This is how people commit suicide. This is how society breaks down when there's so many people that feel lonely and disenfranchised from society. It is a much bigger problem than you know, women.
Boo-hoo, you're lonely and have no friends and are suicidal, wah. Because feeling alienated under capitalism apparently isn't a thing.
Nope.
People are working harder and longer while wages have been stagnant. Men have been dropping out of college like flies. And what does that get you? Poor men. Which, since women are doing amazing in college now, and many are now out-earning men, this most of the time leads to single men, which then leads to lonely men, which leads to depressed men, which leads to the high suicide rate. In my opinion, leftism at a policy
And also leads to lonely women. That's the other part of it. If there's lonely men, there's lonely women. Shocker.
level does a great job addressing the shitty material conditions that in part lead to the problems that men are facing, but then absolutely drops the ball when it comes to everything and anything related to men's cultural issues. Many such cases. And why would a struggling man even want to move left when the left appears actively hostile to them?
The question of whether or not the hashtag online left does enough to appeal to hashtag men has become the question du jour. And like, men have...
What's up with his face? Why does he have makeup and like lipstick on? I'm not tripping out, right?
have most of the money, authority, and do most of the murdering and assaulting.
The average young man in America isn't Jeff Bezos. Also, why did this motherfucker just FBI crime statistics at me? Men do the most murder. Okay?
They like having all of the stuff they don't deserve. They like that. They want it to stay that way because it suits them. Because of the stuff, telling people they're special and deserve all the nice shit that they have, that's going to be an easier sell 10 times out of 10 than like saying, hey, maybe you should have less stuff and other people should have more.
Leftism is when you don't...
You're just fucking... Oh my god, this communism, socialism shit is so fucking stupid. Like, I should give up my stuff, the stuff that I earned and made, to other people? Fuck that.
have a lot of stuff. We're gonna take your stuff. You sound like a 65-year-old Fox News boomer's idea of what the left is. Are you a CIA agent?
Seriously.
The right is saying to men, you will own a house. You will have beautiful children with your loving wife. You will have privacy. You will have free speech. You will own things, and you will be happy. And the left is like...
They like having all of the stuff they don't deserve.
But don't get me wrong, Republicans will not do shit. The Republican Party will not do shit. The establishment in general will not do shit to help any of this.
Nope.
But the right is, at least rhetorically, offering men something other than nothing or the eternal HR department. Every time this discord comes up, there's people like, we need a leftist Andrew Tate. We need masculine role models on the left. But the fact is, it's hard for progressives to organically appeal to men, because a large part of progressivism is oppressive hierarchies, and men are oppressors. Making progressivism look appealing to young men is an uphill battle from the start. And although it's funny to laugh at insane people on Twitter, as always, there have been a lot of left-wing content creators talking about men's issues. If you would have told me this would be a thing 9 years ago, I would not believe you, because anyone talking about men's issues back in the day was called an MRA or a pick-me. But lately I have seen a lot of good pro-men lefty content, and I'll put some links to some below. I don't agree with all the points they say, but I recommend watching. It's much better than...
They like having all of the stuff they don't deserve.
But the issue is a lot of this lefty pro-men content, it's always framed around, how do we get them? As if men are just pawns and tools for your personal politics.
Right.
How do we make the left more appealing to men? How do we stop lonely men from moving to Andrew Tate? Instead of just, how do we help men? And I think that's a really big issue. Both sides seem to treat men as political fodder. Disposable soldiers in the culture war and real war.
Yep.
Anyway, misandry is real. Oh good, finally! And while it doesn't systemically affect cis men, it most certainly affects trans men. Oh. Y'all talking about misandry doesn't harm men, and trans men are right there reading this shit, by the way. I see, now we only care about misandry because it affects trans men. Everyone stop! It's affecting a group I care about now. I love how the rhetoric just like evolved overnight, from male tears to cis male tears. And I just have to ask, why aren't you including trans men in your misandry,
Nobody told me how lonely being a man is. We knew what depth felt like before we transitioned. We knew what it felt like to like have people want to hug us and to have people want to talk to us and to have a community. And then you transition and you're just a guy walking down the street that people cross the street so that they're not near you. And friendships are so much harder to build. What's hard is none of this invalidates how real and raw women and people who are in marginalized groups feel about cis white men. All of that's valid. But I also now understand why the suicide rate is so much higher in men.
Welcome to being a man. Here's your complimentary isolation and yellow pillow. I love how even when he's experiencing the issues of being a man, he's like, this doesn't invalidate people hating men. Come on, bro. Men struggling don't want to be lectured about the patriarchy. They don't want to be told it's all their fault. They don't want to be told they're part of the problem, because first of all...
And that's exactly what we're being told. You know, men that are living their lives, doing their thing, not oppressing anybody, is being told that we're the problem. Being told that we're doing everything wrong, and society is the way it is because of us. What do you expect us to do? We didn't do anything. We just lived our lives.
They're not. The average 20-year-old didn't build society. They go to work, come home, off to sissy hypno fetish porn, and go to bed like everyone else. I've talked about this before, but a lot of men's value comes from the money they make, unfortunately.
Yep.
Men are natural providers, and if they have nobody to provide for, they get into findom or send random girls on the internet money.
This is
But the
100%.
fact is, a lot of men simply feel like they don't have a purpose anymore. Whether a job or a career that's fulfilling and pays well, or a woman or family to protect and take care of and provide for, men are lacking purpose. And a man will crawl through broken glass for a purpose. But you know who does make them feel like they have a purpose? No, not him.
I say that life as a man is exceptionally difficult. I say the most beautiful and the most terrifying thing about being a man is you're born without value. Society doesn't care about you.
The absolute audacity to act shocked that Andrew Tate is scooping these guys up after a decade of lol male tears is insane. Andrew Tate isn't the solution to men's problems, but he is talking to them. The fact is, you did not care about them for years, and even now you just want to recruit them, not help them. And that's why you will fail. And hey, maybe I'll be the Andrew Tate of the left. Men, listen up. Wash your penis. So I guess I'll leave you guys with a question. Why do you think male loneliness has been increasing? What are your solutions for this problem? And are you dealing with loneliness? And I will see you guys next time with a new video. Bye!
Damn, that was some good chow. Shout outs to Shoe on Head. She did a wonderful video. You know, some of the ways we can fix it. I think men need to focus on building friendships with their friends more, with their male friends more. It's just usually something that men put in the back burner. And if we put that more in the foresight of what we should be doing, part of our looks, part of our, money, purpose is making good friends, making good solid friends. For men, good solid friends is all you kind of really need. So please like and subscribe down below. I really appreciate that, and I'll catch you guys next time. Ciao.